Hello everyone and welcome back on this Monday evening. We are on our 42nd episode of the Biggening Corporation, and I'm pretty close to saying that this is version 0.1 complete. We had a long ride to get here, but I think it was pretty worth it. So today we are going to do the last little bit of to-do that we have before we playtest it a little bit. We're going to do it playtesting on the stream between today and tomorrow, and then I am going to invite a couple of people to help come assist. So for those of you who are following along, hit me up on Twitter or YouTube if you would like to be part of our first little micro test pool. It is only selling and buying items at this point, but hey, gotta start somewhere. So, speaking of starting somewhere, where we are starting today is a mega time lapse, and by that I mean I did some live streaming on my to-do list. So the to-do list in our source code is now significantly shorter and tidied up, in that we have mostly now things tagged as version 2.2 or later, but a heck of a lot less still in our pile of things that we need done. And some of those we're not going to tackle probably this version, and that's okay. But that time lapse, that streaming session on Saturday, it ended up going about 6 hours. So today's time lapse, just to even be visible as to what's going on, the fastest, or rather the slowest I can make it and still have it be useful, was about 30x. So it's going to be a good 10-minute recap of 6 hours of code tidy up, and then once we're back from that, we will dive into the last little piece that is not left from the weekend, the efforts on cleaning up the season, and we'll probably take just a couple of minutes as well to talk what has changed, just what settings, broad stroke what was in the time lapse and everything like that, just to cover the basics. And then we'll talk about what does the playtest we're setting up for today look like, how I'm going to be playing that between now and tomorrow, just to get a sense of we're not basing this off of any existing math. I haven't gamed out how the system works. I haven't gamed out the pricing of anything. So it's all guesswork as to what's good values, bad values, and this is how we find that out, is just trying it. So I guess I will see you on the other side of our 10-minute time lapse, and then we'll dive in. Alrighty. Well, that was a lot. And I realized towards the end it was still at 30x speed, which works okay if you're just typing along and trying to put up with my speed of typing and whatnot, but not so great when we're clicking through dialogue, so oh well. But that's okay. That was a doozy of a cleanup day. We did a lot of stuff together on the live stream. So let's talk about the big strokes of what was changed. For starters, we moved a ton of stuff around and added things into game setup that needed to not be hard-coded. What a concept. All sorts of different accounts and posting groups and all those sort of fun things needed to be added to our setup. I also created a new nice little quick and simple global flag. The master heartbeat now checks to see if the game is active. If this is not active, the game date doesn't change. And when the game date doesn't change, all of the player companies have their player heartbeats, and if the game date's the same, they don't do anything. So it's a nice, easy, instant pause the whole thing. So we'll make use of that. That'll be useful. And I realized a massive oversight. When a new player starts, what do they have? What do they have for locations, money, bots? How is that all going to work? So we added a couple of things, starting basic locations, starting cash. I'm going to assume that we're going to keep to the 2 location structure, but we also did a ton in our bot templates. For example, you saw I was cruising through setting up different tiers of all our functional bots, and we added a new ability to have some sort of start with. So a player will theoretically start with all of these different bots in place and just kicking back and idling. So we'll see how that works. And then let's see, lots and lots of other tidy up things, but one of the things that we do need to do today is I want to finish up the season functionality that clears out some of the transactional data, because if we go look at our bot activity log, no, actually we're clear there. That's fine. I think that one's designed now to clear itself off after a time, and that's fine. Our bot error log, this still has lots of stuff, so we do need some cleanup to happen around that. And I think that's because the cleanup code I wrote relies on this posting date, and well, I was going for deleting 3 real-world calendar days, and I think I did a comparison against today in the posting date, so that will not work. So, a couple little tidy-up things. Yeah, that's... there was so much in this. If we look at our code history a little bit, just a bevy of changes since episode 41. Most of it's cleaning up things, but... yeah, a lot of good cleanup stuff happened. We created some new code units to handle like the initialization. So player starting values, this code unit, as you saw, is what will generate all of their starting locations, and it goes through all the settings. We give the player the money. I don't really need a comparison, but I appreciate that split. We are going to create the different starting locations, and the easy way to reflect that is we give them a starting amount to cover the cost, then we can call all the existing code. The small downside to doing some live streaming events on both Saturday and Sunday is I did not rest my voice, and I was already starting to lose it yesterday, so apologies. But yeah, cool. So let's see. So where we are today, that is kind of the last thing I'm worried about doing, is the season cleanup. This season create functionality, we clean out the error logs. Yep, this command will clear all of those. So the date logic on our bot error log, we don't have to worry about it. We clear all the market data for a season. That gets transferred to some new archives, so we can analyze one season against the next, what happened. That's cool. You probably saw in the time-lapse, I had left this note for myself. I don't know that I want to do any sort of automatic company deletion, because I think the right thing to do with the new season is to delete each player's company and then recreate them, so that way they get all the appropriate initialization stuff. This one I'm having a hard time deciding exactly how I want to handle, because yeah, if you were to create a command that looped through 40 companies and did delete company, your database engine's going to cry. But that's against the idea of your administrator having to click wait 40 times and also cry. So I'm going to decide which set of tiers I want to put up with. Cool. So in this little create new season, we clear out a bunch of old stuff, but we don't do anything then about creating the new season and doing the initialization. I ran into a funky little bug. The way I was handling the initialization process for players, that code unit, the starting values one we took a brief look at here, this gets created as a one-off job inside the player's company, so that way we can do some posting transactions, because changing companies and then posting, bad juju. Don't. If someone tries to start talking you into doing intercompany posting, no. Create an inbox, and on the receiving company, process the inbox. There's a reason that they do that in the base code, intercompany handling. So anyways, in our code unit for the player starting values, this has to run within the player company. For whatever reason, recurring jobs, I can get them to start correctly, but one-off jobs don't. So I'm going to have to think about how I want to deal with that. I spent probably half an hour scratching my head trying to figure out that one. There was no obvious reason. Brilliant stuff. Anyways, so yeah, season. We have season numbering. Is this automatic? Nope, it is not. That's fine. We don't need to worry about that then. And we have just some basic info that we can plug in. That's cool. Alright, so what I'm going to do then is we're going to go into our season create code unit, and we will just go figure. We will grab our active season, which I like how this code assumes that we've got an active season that we've selected. Good job there. So active season, set range active true. Yeah. We want to bail if they're on this stretch of code. There we go. If there's no active season at the moment, then we don't have to do all the cleanup. It's maybe the first time someone's running things, so nice and easy there. Then the new season, we want to do this. At that point, we can say the active, actually the last step inside this if here is active season, active, false. That is no longer active. Cool. Now, we can, on our active season, clear the filter on active, and if we find last, then the new season number, that, otherwise we're on season 1. Cool. And we're not doing anything special on our season initialization side of things. we're just going to create the entry, and then the admin has to kind of do a little bit of the work themselves. So active true. There we go. At some point we can probably do some clever thing on inserting the version number from our app or something like that on the new season. Since we have this built-on version, we can probably pull that out of the extension itself and then throw that into there, and that'll be a little clearer of what's what. But yep, that works. Okay, so that will create a new season and clear off all the old one, and yeah, then it's up to the system administrator for now to delete or initialize all the player companies and work from there. Okay. Alrighty. Cool. And as often is the case, this is a great function. Maybe we should call it. So let's get that added to the season list, so that way we can run that and clear it out, clear everything as working. Don't need the parens. I mean, I guess this is processing. It's also kind of creation. I don't know. We'll go with it. Action. One of the things that we'll also probably want to consider is when you create a new season, do you reset the game setup settings? I'm inclined to say yeah. Let's do that. And we're going to need our game setup. Go figure. Now, the system administrator will, of course, be able to override these settings, but my thinking is that we will set our game date to, I forget the date formatting, if we're doing the year, month, date, if we're just hard coding the string. Well, look at that. Tooltips to the rescue. Tells us exactly what we gotta do. Nice. Okay. And most importantly, active gets set to false. That way the administrator can change the game setup before everything gets started. So, there we go. Cool. Alrighty. So, now we just need image equals, I don't know, new something. Oh, I like that. New branch looks great for this. Perfect. Why not? Promoted is true, and promoted category is processing. And now we just, I believe, one of the small bright sides to, if you have only one footprint of a function call, you could just make the procedure be the on-run trigger, and then you can just run object. I'm tempted to do that, but for the moment, I'm just gonna accept that I'm gonna do this via code, because there might be some other things that we might put in place. For example, there's no "Are you sure" validation here, so this is a really scary button to make because it deletes a ton of game content. So create season. I called it season create for some reason. Saturday, I guess, backwards brain. Which means I think we end up with another charming, yep, almost a code palindrome here. Now let's just enjoy that. Season new create, season new create, dot create new season. There we go. Lean into the absurd. Okay, that works. Alright, so over in our master company here, which hopefully won't give us an error while it's publishing, I had created towards the end of the time lapse 3 new companies, Alpha, Beta, and Gamma. That'll be our players that I'm going to be testing out with. They are a little uneven. I created Alpha and then adjusted some of the game settings, and so it has a decided advantage over the other two. But that's okay. I think that'll be alright for our purposes. So my general strategy that I'm going to be following, because I'm going to go ahead and play this over the course of this evening and tomorrow, slowly but surely. For starters, I think I've got... Yeah. I was wondering when I would hit the "it's publishing, leave me alone" stage. One of the things that I am going to be doing and testing out is a couple of different strategies. Beta and Gamma are the same as companies, so what I will do with Beta is I'm going to have it focus on lower price point items and try to see if winning on volume beats out against Gamma, who will try to very quickly corner the market on some high price items. And then Alpha, I think I'll just kind of play it willy-nilly and balance and play with things. This is going to give us a nice opportunity. As part of the playtesting, we'll see about, do the standings generate correctly. The game is paused right now, so it's not showing the standings correctly. So we'll see if that reflects things, and then we'll also have some sample data to view some of the different screens against and see how that flies. So that'll be good. Cool. Okay. We have our new create season button. This is going to purge a lot of data. Go. Meh. Well then. Oh. Yep. Is empty. Didn't move. Now, there was some great discussion on Twitter about the value of is empty is a really rapid SQL statement, but if you're having to get the values from that, is it any different from a find first performance wise? Because then if you're wrapping this is empty and then you do a find first in here, you're still creating 2 queries against the SQL database. Yeah, this one's less expensive, but you're still some portion of the time going to double the cost. So I thought that was an interesting discussion. I don't know if there's definitive answers on that. I would love to do some playing with performance testing sometime, but I am going to go with the old school if we find first, rather than do multiple transactions there. That's fine. But of course that means I have to publish again, so. Okay. Yep. So at the moment I've got the master heartbeat in this testing version so that I can really crank up the testing on the few times I have the opportunity to look at this over the next 24 hours before tomorrow's stream. I have it cranked down to only 5 minutes between game days, so I'm gonna have a lot of data. Hopefully my machine won't scream at me too much. I have no idea. Okay, so season. I gotta figure out shutting off the Chrome autocomplete for the search. Okay, where use this? Pardon? Okay, I mean, basically it should be just clearing this, and then we want just any active season. Alright. Oh, when you look at the same code all day long, you start to not see it. Forgot to increment. So, brilliant. Alrighty. So that's going to archive a lot of junk data and clean up data. Yeah. Cool. Oh, interesting. Because our commit code did successfully call, it's archiving the players for that season. So at this point, I need to just manually flag this as empty and move on, so that way it doesn't find this as an active season, because all of the archive entries were made. Now, I didn't, as a side note, I did not make any pages for that archive data. I'm mainly just wanting it to exist for the moment, and then we're probably going to create like some API pages against it as well. I want to start getting into some of the harder to do things rather than so version 0.2 and beyond, I'm gonna do a lot more off camera of the boring stuff, the things that we've covered now 100 times because we've got 100 pages or whatever have you. We're probably gonna skip over a lot of those things, but we're gonna start doing the fun stuff of API analysis and how to set up assemblies, how to do manufacturing and all that. So cool. All right, edit this list. We have 3 participants. Exciting. And this is built on version 0.1, really. Technically, this is built on version less than 0.1, so let's be accurate with ourselves here. Okay. Alrighty. One of the things that I am realizing that we will probably work on this week, I don't, as an administrator of this system, I still don't have a role center that would help me. We never really focused on that. It's not one of the core parts of the player experience, which is what we focused on for minimum viable product. So if we go look at our system admin role center, I can see company, kinda, like, and this is the issue here. I didn't set the display name of companies. Yeah. So if we edit this list, let's, so that way we're consistent across the system here. Interesting. Wonder what the what fills in the company created. Okay, so yeah, all we can really see as an administrator right now is just that they exist. That's, and okay, yeah, the setup stuff went over. Okay, that's good, but it's not really a question anymore. So we're gonna probably spend some time this week also on system administrative overview to look at the data of things. How many bots does Alpha have? What do they have for wealth? So we're probably gonna keep this grid style layout as the main thing for a master operator of the system, but it's going to be kind of a system overview rather than a setup overview. That seems like a really useful goal for the week. Playtesting is good, but yeah. Alright, so the other thing that we are going to do today, I will probably do this off camera. I'm going to create a config package of some of our setup of what we have right now. For example, our master items. Nope, I keep opening the import. Yep. Master items. So I will create, for example, a config package with all these class 1 master items. I will create the config package to include the bot templates and our current game setup, and I think those are the main things. Maybe the research requirements and research table. Put together those into a config package and add those to a new folder in the repo called version 0.1 config settings, something like that. at some point in the near future, I need to spend some time learning GitHub branches, because we probably should consider spinning off some branches here and there. We are going to continue development while people are playing, so that's going to be a common thing, and we are going to want to be able to bug fix if there's an urgent issue that comes up partway through a season, even though we've got lots of new things. So I'm going to, in the near future, be needing to do some on-screen GitHub learning about branching. Yay! I don't know GitHub, so that's exciting. Cool. So, yeah. Let's pop over to Alpha real quick and take a look at our player environment. Actually, Gamma, it's our most recently created one. Let's take a look at what does a starting company look like for a player, so we can see kind of where we start, because I think that's useful. Now, the current starting wealth seems like a pretty random and arbitrary number, so let's go check out our chart of accounts and see what's the story here. It partly is a random and arbitrary number. We had a starting cash amount, which actually I thought was 5,000, so I'm wondering, we probably have some power charges. Yup. So in the intervening time since I set them up on Saturday, there were some power charges. Okay, so I started players with 5,000 cash, 2,500 worth of bots, and then 50,000 worth of locations, which, if I remember my game setup correctly, is one basic location. No, that's 5,000. I wonder if I change the setting after I create. It might be worth me recreating my player companies, because I'm baffled by that one. There's no math that I'm aware of in our starting player values that could have made that. So, one to game setup basic locations, we just do a purchase location. Okay, yeah, that's correct. Quick check here. What's the story? Okay, amount to charge, basic location price. When to charge. Yeah, so there's no math that could have had that off. So I'm gonna need to check what's the story there. Yeah. Okay. So, yep, recreate the three companies. Alright, so when we review things tomorrow, the overall strategy I'm going with for Playtest 1, Alpha, mix all items. Beta, going to try to maximize warehouse space, huge volume, low price items, and then gamma, every bit we can pour into money will minimum required space, focus on high price items. So these are the strategies I'm going to be playing between all three, and kind of see how it goes. Buy space as needed. Sounds good. So those are going to be my strategies, and if you didn't notice, the master items, I've got it set up so that they start in kind of three different groups. These are the cheapest items, these are medium, and then these are significantly more than those. So as you can see, if you start with 5,000 cash, you can't buy very many simple circuits and power components. So we'll see how that works as a strategy, and we'll probably continue this throughout the platform. The nice thing is when we revise and update our master item import, where we create all of the bill of materials for the different items out of these raw materials, at that point we'll have play tested the initial price of the low materials, and we can just kind of, well, do some math. and set an appropriate price based on the raw materials and things involved. There are built-in tools for doing that that you can roll up the cost, but I believe they also run under the assumption that when you create the assembly kits, if you're going to have any additional charges for the amount of time it takes to put together the kit, that those go in as resource charges. And at this point, we're not utilizing resources. Manufacturing is going to get interesting because we need work centers. So that'll be interesting. But yeah, so these are the strategies on this. I think I'm going to take the time to delete and recreate the companies for the various players. I think that is more useful for what I'm trying to do here. Although, quick check here, in our player list, I don't think... That's interesting. Tooltips to remind myself about how to do things. Setup thing for the player list. Because of the fact that some of the operations are heavy in the involvement of creating companies and all that sort of thing, I added different flags to the steps they complete so that between each of these steps there's a commit, so that way we can get, if we get to here and there's an error, we've already done the first parts. So that way we can more gently error handle if like something goes wrong with the company being made or the copying, we can resume the setup operation basically. I think, however, it might be a good idea for us to create in this set of tools here the ability to recreate the companies as if they're new. So let's go look at that real quick, because that is an area that we changed in our time lapse. It'd be good to look at how that's flowing. Okay, this test start values was just the ability to run that code unit that was running, because we were definitely running into some posting issues. So I'm going to remove that because it's not something that we should be doing. But we do want to look at this setup new player. Okay, so here we go through and we say, okay, if the player's step of company made is not true, then generate the player company, flag it, and commit. And we kind of do that through each of the different steps. So that's cool. So realistically, we can reuse this code unit where we've got the setup new player and just add a step before where we delete the old company. Yeah, actually that's probably our best way to go. So here what we're doing is we're doing a company init, we set the name, and then see, I was fiddling with this and the company display name. I'm pretty sure that's a flow field from the company table. So this whole code doesn't make sense because it literally can't. This is backwards. This display name is a flow field to this one, or vice versa. Yeah. So that never will be true. Never will happen. But all we're doing is inserting a company and then running all the usual stuff. So I wonder if we can add a button that literally just deletes the company and then removes these company-specific flags. Let's try it. Let's try it out real quick, because I need that functionality anyways. Okay. Yep. Okay. Procedure. Remove player company. And we need the player to be passed in. And we just need the company table. I don't actually know if this works the way I think it does. I mean, it would be the weirdest code ever for me to just say, you know, Yeah, we're just gonna do basically the reverse of this. If company get player name, then company.delete. What weird code to write. Wowzers. I'll be astonished if this code works, because the idea of this just doing that and not throwing like an error message or GUI, are you sure you want to delete this company? I'll be real surprised. But stranger things have happened. So player step company made equals false, and that also then means that the initial job ran is equal to false, and so is our master data copy and job queues. Actually, pretty much everything gets cleared stepwise except the user. Yeah. Okay. At some point we're going to need to put in some code validation that if you change the username or a company name on the player record, the user permissions are going to be wrong. So we'll need to fix that too, but that's fine. Okay. And this should be var since we're modifying it. Sounds good. Okay, so we have a setup new player. We are going to need very similar code for delete new player. Which is not really delete, it's kind of like a restart. Let's go with that. Restart player. That sounds better. Because effectively removing the player company is kind of making them restart. There we go. Okay. There we go. So in theory, we should be able now to switch over, because you should always run this from the master company. I believe I've got errors in place that will wrap around that and catch that. But we should be able to, once it's done publishing, reset our alpha company, for example. Let's try it. Restart player. Man, can you imagine? Like, sorry, I'm just realizing, like, if it's that easy to delete a company, you can literally just have some evil code somewhere lying around that says company.delete all. Yep. It's that easy. Alright. Well, my fellow developers, never use your powers for evil. I mean, try to not use your powers for evil, I guess. Okay. So this might run for a minute or two. It might run for 10 minutes. I don't actually know how long it tends to take these days, so we'll see. But my hope is that it'll only take a minute or so, and then we can set up the new player and confirm that it's nice and cleaned up. But yeah, so between now and tomorrow, I will slowly but surely do some of this playtesting. It may be something that we're going to continue to do for the rest of the week, just to get a better sense of like how it flows over time. And I have, limited ability to run 3 different virtual enterprises, so we'll see how well that works out. It'll be neat to start doing some analysis of the data over the course of the week. So I think between now and the end of the week, we'll focus on some of those things. I still have this sheet lying around. I haven't crossed off all the various things. Yep, but yeah, actually I've got all this stuff done. That's neat. Cool. Yeah, and I had in my version 0.2 first stop was going to be System Admin Role Center, and we just added the season closing tools, so we're ahead of time on that. Nice. Okay. Well, in that case, I guess we're going to move into 0.2 development this week while we get some data out of our 0.1. Alright, cool. I probably will do the System Administration Role Center development off camera because that's not very interesting. We've watched me stumble through the player, and it's going to be pretty much the same. So I think what we'll probably swing to next on camera is going to be email handling, now I think about it. Because players getting a daily summary of what's going on is a useful thing. We, unlike a lot of other mobile games, can't do like in-app notifications. There's no support for that in BC Universal App. Oh, that's interesting. I wonder if there's an ideas for that. Alright, so now alpha is initialized. If we go look at our company list, we should see that it is gone. Gone. It is. Nice. Okay, so this is just our edited view. If we wanted to name it something, Alpha Enterprises, this is our opportunity to do so. But we're just going to set up new player. Kerchunk. So while that goes on in the background, cool. Alright. Well, excellent. Yeah, I think we're in great shape on version 0.1. So at the very least, you can already today start to use this engine. If you create like a dummy company and you set up a few basic sales bots, purchase bots, and you set a very, very low price on that, and with admin, you go ahead and create a journal entry to give yourself, $1 million cash, and you just buy bot after bot after bot, you can create in your system a significant amount of purchase and sales order data. So if you need, 100,000 open sales orders or something like that to test your performance of your report or your number cruncher, you're already there. You can use this tool today to do that. That's kind of cool. I'm excited by that. I'm looking forward. Now, one of the things I didn't break down here, so the checkbox we got company made, the user is made, the master data copy has happened. We've created the job queues in the destination company, and once the initialization job has run, it will flag this here. So let's switch companies and go run that. So Alpha is a new company. Let's see what that looks like on our chart. Make sure that's actually working correctly. So you can see we've got nothing. We have no balances whatsoever. If we look at our bots, we have nothing. So everything is perfectly clean in this new company of ours. If we go to our job queue, we've got the starting values and the heartbeat listener. The heartbeat listener will just start thumping away and doing its thing, and I set it to start 10 minutes from when you run the company initialized, just to give time for you to be able to do the starting values. So if we set on hold, set ready, I don't know why we have to do that, and we refresh, we'll see in process, and now it's gone forever. But we've got a starting wealth. Yay! If we look at our bots, we've got some bots on our deck here. We've got one of all of the core ones. That's cool. If we go look at our location list, we see that we've got our basic location. It can take 10 bots. There's none assigned here. We've got a maximum on that location. So the player's first step will be to assign their bots as much as they can. Like the marketing bot is going to have to do a job of getting a customer before the sales bot can do anything. So there's a little bit of, I'm debating also giving a first customer. We'll see. But I am a little curious. It's still noting the location as 50,000. I'm not sure where it's getting that number, because in our game setup, oh, because I'm looking at the wrong field. I do have the basic location as 50,000. Cool. All right. So all of our companies will start with a wealth point of about 57,000 and basic location, basic bots, and nothing else. Alrighty. Well, I guess we'll see between now and tomorrow kind of how that goes. Because I do have limited time to play, I do think I'll leave the game timings of probably like every 20 minutes rather than every 5. I think that'll be fine. 24 hours. That'll give us 72 data entries if we've got it every 20 minutes. So yeah, that'll be probably good data to use for analysis. So okay. Alright. So yep, off camera I will finish the last 2 companies on the setup work. I will create a config package and export all of our current settings, and I will check all that into the repo. So if you want to drop this extension into a company and into a database and play with it yourself, you can. And while we playtest v0.1 this week, just to get some idea of the game balance, we will start on our 0.2 branch. And next week I'll look for some volunteers to be part of the actual community test of version 0.1. That'll be neat. Okay, well, I appreciate you all sticking with me today, and a lot got done over the weekend, and I feel like we got through an awful lot. If you asked me to build this, I would have estimated a lot more than 50 hours, which I think is about what we've now spent on it as a group. So, cool. Excellent stuff. Yeah. Well, I'll look forward to seeing you all tomorrow, and take care, everyone. Bye-bye.